And now we're recording. Thanks, Phyllis. I appreciate it. Okay, so tonight we're going to talk about feeling stuck, feeling unmotivated, and how we can persevere through that. So if you don't know anything about me, my name is Tara Castaneda. I'm a Diamond Senior Ruby Ambassador with Plexus, and my husband is also a Diamond. We have been with Plexus a little over 5 years. It's been an amazing journey for us. We really didn't have any intention of doing this, but it found us and we ran with it. But I will assure you, over my 5 and a couple months, maybe a 1 month, 2 months now, 5 years and 2 months, being with Plexus, there are times where even I don't feel motivated to work my business. There are times where I feel stuck in my business. And if I can be so transparent with you guys, I kind of feel stuck in my business right now. And, when I was going through my journey to Diamond the first time, those feelings of stuck scared me and it stopped me in my tracks and I didn't know how to get around it. But now, having been through going Diamond twice and Senior Ruby and going through this for 5 years, I understand that feeling stuck is part of the process, and I've learned to enjoy that space. Now, what in the world do I mean by that? When you are stuck, it gives you time to introspectively reflect and thus grow in your leadership if you so choose to. That's the big piece there. So if you are feeling stuck, know that it's okay. It's normal for people to feel stuck sometimes, but there is absolutely a way to overcome this and get out of it. So the first time I got stuck in my business, I was a Senior Gold Ambassador, and I was stuck, for lack of a better word, for about 7 months, and I could not get to Ruby, it felt like. And I had to make some specific decisions around my business to not be stuck. And the first thing that came with that was a decision. I decided to not be stuck. Have you ever felt like at some point in your life, or maybe even with Plexus, you're just done being where you are? Like you're ready to get to the next place, right? Nod your head if you've ever felt like that. Like, oh man, I am done being here. It is time to move on. Like enough is enough, right? Okay, so we've all been there. That was me. So a little story time for you guys. I have this on one of my YouTube videos, but it was September of 2014 when this happened, and my husband came home from work. This is when I was stuck at Senior Gold, and he found me literally on the floor crying in a fetal position about Plexus. Now, I'm not dramatic at all, right? No, I'm totally dramatic. I really was lying on the floor crying in a fetal position. How ridiculous. But I was so upset and I was stuck. And I was like almost grieving the loss of this dream I had with Plexus because I felt like it wasn't ever going to happen, right? Have any of you felt like that before? Like you want something so bad, but you just like, oh my gosh, how is this going to happen? Okay, that was me. So I was crying. I was making a hot mess of myself, totally embarrassing myself. But my husband walks in. He's like, what in the world is the matter? And I explained to him, and he sits down next to me and he sits me up and he was like, honey, I love you, but I married a stubborn woman. And I've never seen you give up on anything. And he just kind of took me by my shoulders and said, you're not giving up. Right? So I encourage you to find somebody in your life that's willing to do that for you. And if you don't have anybody, do it yourself. Okay. And I can say that because the later times in my business where I got stuck again at Emerald and I was struggling to get up to Sapphire, but it was myself who looked myself in the mirror and said, enough, Tara. Okay. And so the first time it was my husband, the second time it was me, but I committed to my business for 90 days. And I said, okay, I am committed for 90 days to turn my business around. And if it doesn't progress, if I don't feel better about my business in 90 days, then okay, I'll reevaluate. But I'm committing for 90 days. So it was the decision for me to be unstuck, right? And I'm sure Brooke talks about this too, but mindset's really important. So if you're constantly telling yourself, oh, I'm stuck, I'm not going to get where I want to be, how am I going to get there? Guess what's going to happen? you're going to be stuck. You're not going to know how to get there, right? What you say will happen. So we're going to talk about some affirmations to change those mindsets a little bit later. But you've got to decide to get unstuck, decide to move forward, and do that by your own language, right? Do that by your own language. For me, I had to get busy with events on my team. And back then when I was a senior gold, I had a smaller team then. And events for me were even three-way chats. Even three-way chats was an event for me. Okay. But I was doing Skype. Back then we didn't have Zoom. We had Skype, right? Which is another video conference. I did Skype video calls. I did coffee dates. I did three-way chats, but I did whatever I could to get my team involved and active with me. And guys, let me just tell you, and I'm sure you've heard it before, but if you don't have a rock star on your team, if you don't have a business builder on your team, then by golly, go be that person. And I mean that because I've seen that played out in so many teams underneath me and in myself, but you gotta go be that person that you want on your team. Like, quit making excuses. If you don't know me, I kind of preach a little bluntly and a little tough love, but y'all, I'm going to be real. Quit making excuses, right? Quit saying I don't know people. Quit saying it's not going to happen. Quit saying I don't have time, because I promise you, you do. I promise you, you will find a way if you want it. If you want it, I promise you. Here's another example. Last month, I've been really working on my reentry. I'm trying to rebuild my reentry. It had kind of fallen back. I had some personal stuff go on in 2018 where I really wasn't as present in my business as I really wanted to be. And my re-entry position kind of took a little bit of a hit. And so I'm working on rebuilding that. And so I was really, really heavy last month, or the month before, I guess that would be January, helping my level ones really, really ramp up. And I had a couple people in my funnel of recruiting, but not as many as I normally have. And I realized this about a week into February. And I was like, oh my gosh, where are my 3 level ones going to come from this month? Because I always pride myself on signing up 3 level ones every month. I said, where are these going to come from? And so I really sat down and I took about, 3 hours, right? I devoted myself 3 hours looking at my business and looking at my potentials. And I said, okay, Tara, you better hit your 3. Right? If I'm expecting this of my team, if I want this of my team, I better do it myself. So I sat down, spent about 3 hours, really looked at everyone that I'd had conversations with. And I said, here's my goal. My goal is at least 5. Y'all, I walked away last month in the month of February with signing 8 level ones. And I had no clue where they were going to come from. But I set a goal and I decided to do it. And I made the path possible. I mean, think back in a part of your life where you were like, I don't know how it's going to happen or when it's going to happen or how the stars are going to align, but you were able to accomplish something that seemed really wild, right? Have you ever experienced something like that? Yeah, nod your head, right? Yeah. So think back to that time. What did you have to do in your mindset to get there? Starts with that decision, and then second is activity, right? It's activity. You've got to get active. Okay, the second thing about feeling stuck that I want to talk about, aside from decision making, is the culture that you want to have on your team. Whether it's a brand new team, or whether it's a team that's been kind of the same, like floating stance for a while, or maybe it's a team that's really starting to build, right? Wherever you are, what kind of culture do you want on your team? And that's something that I encourage you to really be cognizant of and be intentional about, because I will say 5 years down the road that the number one most impactful thing that can possibly have any effect, both positive and negative, on your team is culture. So what do I mean by culture? Positivity, empowering. Are you allowing people to negatively comment? Do you have a culture of sharing? Or do you have a culture of wholesale ambassadors that just use product? Do you have a culture of going silver? What kind of, if you were to take a screenshot of your team page or the pulse of your current team, what would you say is the number one word that describes it, right? And that kind of gives you a good base on culture. Right? And then if it's not where you want it to be, then go make it what you want it to be. See, this is the cool thing about Plexus is you really do have a lot of power when it comes to designing the team, designing the life that you want to have, right? I really want a team that has a culture of sharing, that has a culture of empowerment, that has a culture of going silver. And so guess what? I talk about those things a ton on my team page and with one-on-one with my team members. I talk to myself a ton about it because the more I talk to myself about these different cultures that I want on my team, the more that I have the ability to create that within my team. So I see a question over here from Phyllis. What did I do to get that many this far into your Plexus journey? Did I reach out personally or did I post? That's a great question. So 5 years in, you'd think that I've exhausted all of my warm market. I had, right? I've spoken to every single person on my Facebook friends. Yup. But I have gotten intentional about creating more markets. So I have a YouTube video on this, and I cannot for the life of me remember what it's called. I think it's, recruiting is in the title. Recruiting, and I think the still shot is me holding like a piece of paper because I did a drawing. But here's the way I view your warm and cold markets over time. And it grows no matter how long you do this, right? I've been here for 5 years. So when you first start, you've got your warm market. So it starts out kind of small, right? Right? You following me so far? So this is your warm market, okay? And then this, a bigger circle, is your cold market. And as you begin to tap into your warm market, you should also be relationship building with these people in your cold market. You following me so far? Nod your head if you're following me, right? So over time, your warm market goes like this. It gets bigger, right? Which closes in on that cold market. So as your warm market takes the place of the cold market, guess what you have to do? You've got to create a larger circle around that for your cold market. How do you do that? You're intentional about meeting new folks, getting involved. Every time I meet somebody, I'm like, hey, are you on Facebook? I'd love to connect. Boom. I don't hand out business cards. My business card is my Facebook page, right? So I connect with them very intentionally. I try and grow my Instagram followers. I speak with people around me, whether they're sitting next to me and they've got a really cute kid that's, flirting with my kid at the dinner table, and I laugh about it and I strike up conversation. But I also maintain my relationships that have said no to Plexus. Of course I maintain those relationships. I maintain the relationships of people that have tried Plexus that quit. Right? And so over my 5 years, my warm market started like this, and it's probably like this now, right? I don't know if you can see that. It's a big circle, right? And then my cold market's even bigger than that, and I continually work to make those bigger. One thing that I will say about being 5 years in is when I was pushing for the rank of Emerald the first time, and I got to Emerald in 12 months, my first year, I had a set of people that really helped fundamentally build my team, which was really fun. But over 5 years, a lot of them have dropped off, right? And you guys need to be aware of that. The team that gets you to Emerald is not the team that's going to get you to Diamond. The team that gets you to Diamond is not the team that keeps you to Diamond. It's always evolving, which is why your level 1 recruitment is really important. But what's really interesting, and I say this because Phyllis, of your question, what did I do to get that many this far in my Plexus journey? Because I maintained great relationships, because relationships were my number one thing, because I spoke to my level 2s and my level 3s and my level 4s. I tap-rooted to engage with them. I wasn't hand-holding them or acting as their upline, but I was their friend. I was there for them. I made a lot of relationships. What has ended up happening this particular last 45 days or so is the team that got me to Emerald, these key players that have fallen off that since then that got me to Emerald are now rejoining me as new ambassadors ready to come back to work the business or to restart the products. So my reentry team that I'm building is now becoming the team that got me to Emerald. It's the wildest thing, guys. But the reason why it's happening is because I maintain those relationships, right? I maintain those relationships. And then what I did about, I don't know, coincidentally 90 days ago, right? You've heard the rule, what you do today affects your 90 days out. Yeah, heard that before. If not, write it down because it's such truth. What I did coincidentally about 90 to 120 days ago was I really tried to intentionally connect with those folks that used to be on my Plexus team that used to share, and invited them back. No, I don't have a script for them because I don't believe in scripts for that particular type of message. It needs to be heartfelt and real. So I spoke from my heart and I said, hey, you are a very valuable part of my team back then or during that time or when I began or whatever. And I really miss you. You know, Plexus has changed a lot. We've gotten some new products. You know, would you ever consider trying this again with a discount, right? And I offered them a discount or a little freebie or something. But I just told them that they were a valuable part of my team and I missed them. So I invited them back. What ended up happening is over those 90 days or so, I've gotten back nearly 20 people from that original team. So it's a mixture, Phyllis, for me at the stage of where I'm at, both from new growth, but from inviting old Plexus users back. And the cool thing about Plexus, y'all, is people love it because it's real products. It's a real great company with good culture. So even if they quit, unlike most other network marketing companies where people, when they quit, they're done, that's not the case with Plexus. A lot of people are willing to come back, which I think speaks volumes to our products and to our company. Wouldn't you guys? Shake your heads if you agree with that. I feel like it does. Right? When I reach out to people, this is from Natalie, when I reach out to people, do I start talking about the business or products or does it depend on the person? Ooh, that's a great question. So my belief on this, and I actually just did, I don't know if you guys know Timothy and Michelle Thomas. They're a diamond emerald couple. They do Rock the Pink Live. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about there. I hosted their event last night and I talked about this very thing. I wouldn't say I lead. I talk about both, right? Obviously, I start with the products, unless somebody comes to me specifically about the business. But I start with the products, but I follow heavily every time with the business. I speak boldly about the business. I love talking about the business. It's something that I'm passionate about. I believe in it. I'm confident in it. And whether or not they join me for just the products, or they join me for the products and have a 1% interest in the business, or maybe after that conversation, hey, they're all in it. And that doesn't matter to me, right? It doesn't matter to me because I know there's a spectrum and there's a growth, a blooming process, so to speak, with somebody. But I always talk about the business because it's important to me and it seems authentic for me to talk about. And I believe that this is an opportunity that could shape every single person. They could help every single person. So I am confidently bold about that business. It is my belief that what you talk about is what you get, right? That law of attraction piece. So if all you're doing is talking about the products, if all you're sharing is how wonderful the products are, which is true, which is great, then guess what? All you're going to get are customers or wholesale ambassadors. Now that's great, but if you're wanting to move beyond, say, gold, you're going to need people to also share these products, right? And how are you going to get somebody to share these products? You've got to be talking passionately and boldly about the business, right? So if you find yourself shying away from talking about the business, I challenge you to unpack that. Don't ask your upline to unpack it. Unpack it yourself. Take some ownership in this, guys. And we're going to talk about a little bit of this that leads me into my next segment of motivation. But I want you guys to unpack that yourself. Take ownership in that feeling and determine why, right? If you are feeling fearful or hesitant or reluctant or whatever the feeling is about sharing the business, right? You're more passionate about the products than you are the business. Ask yourself why. What is it you're afraid of? What do you feel unconfident about? What do you feel like you don't know enough of? Is it judgment? Is it fear? What is it? Right? And then keep digging in that and figure out why that bothers you. Well, why would judgment bother me? Well, why? Well, if I feel like I don't know enough about the business, then why am I so fearful about it? Let me go start learning about it. Let me go start reading about it, right? When you are able to answer and uncover your questions, you're able to empower yourself and educate yourself. Does that make sense, guys? I know that's a little vague, but does that make sense? Yeah? Okay. So find your passion about the business. Find your belief about the business. And guys, when you work on your belief, belief, they say in sales, and I'll say this, they say in sales that people don't buy your products, they buy you. Have you ever heard of that? Right? Yeah. Okay. So let me just paint a picture, right? And let me say, maybe I'll use me for an example, right? I won't call anybody out. When I was a senior gold and I was feeling stuck, I doubted myself. I doubted the opportunity. Like, could I ever make it? Is this actually something that's possible, right? So I began to doubt and disbelieve, right? I love the products, but I doubted the other stuff. So when I would share the products, and particularly the business, do you raise your hand or nod your head? Do you think that the person that I was speaking to could sense that disbelief on some level? Yeah, most definitely. Yeah. And it can be the smallest little nuance that they picked up on. And so having belief, especially when you're feeling stuck, is going to be that key that's going to unlock the momentum. Because if you're already in momentum, do you think you're struggling with belief? Heck no. You're like, girl, I'm on a roller coaster and I'm flying, right? I'm going up. There is no problem with belief. But when you're feeling stuck, that's when you're like, oh my gosh, maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I'm not smart enough. Maybe I don't know this enough. Maybe this isn't going to really work for me. Maybe this is not really possible. Maybe only a few people get there, right? See all these disbeliefs that are popping in, these doubts. And so how can you work out of a stuck period when your mind is thinking those thoughts? You can't, because people are going to pick up on that crap, if I can say that, in your head, right? They're going to pick up on that. So work on that belief, right? And so next we're going to talk about motivation, right? And feel free to comment anything or question, keep asking questions in the chat. I love that. I like to have a little bit of conversation. So we're going to move into motivation. So maybe you're feeling stuck, or maybe you're not stuck, but you're just kind of like, I'm just kind of existing. I'm floating. I'm good, right? I used to have this fire in my belly, but I'm good where I'm at, right? I call that complacency, right? And I don't want to call anybody out, but I don't think it's a good thing. I'm going to say that, right? It's okay to be comfortable, but if you're just floating and existing, especially when you're presented with an opportunity like this, I feel like it can do more harm than good. Nod your head if you agree with me on that, right? I think it can do more harm than good. So I'm going to ask you guys 3 questions. So if you've got a pen and paper or your phone out, maybe get your notes. I'm going to ask you 3 questions that I want you guys to answer. And it may take some time to think on it. I just did a Zoom for my team. It's on my YouTube channel of 20 questions that help build your internal motivation. Feel free to hop over and watch that. It's a little bit longer because I'm literally asking these questions to my team and they're journaling. So I like ask a question and 5 minutes goes by because they're answering it and journaling it, and then I ask another question. But if you want to do the event, I think it's really good. But here are 3 questions that I really want you guys to answer. What do you want? Right? And I'm not talking Plexus. What do you want in life? What are you truly seeking in life? Right? Take some time on that one. Right? Take some time to answer that question. What do you truly want in life? Number 2, what are your top 2 or 3 values in life? What do you truly value? For example, I can answer that one pretty quickly. 2 of my top one, not over the other necessarily, but two of the top that come to my mind are authenticity. I really feel like that's part of just my brand, if I could say, but authenticity and vulnerability within oneself can truly, truly unlock doors. And so I value helping people find authenticity within themselves and within the space that they're in life. Right. So authenticity is something I value very, very strongly. The second thing that I value very, very strongly is learning. I got my MBA at the age of 22. I flew through school, and I always say that I'm a student of life. I love, love, love learning, and so I value that aspect of learning anything that strikes interest to me. And one thing that really strikes interest to me is helping people empower themselves and empower others. I minored in leadership development, so this is something that really I value in life. And so, well, before I get there, I'm gonna ask you the third thing, but I want you to think about what you value most in life. So write that down and then answer why, right? Unpack that a little bit, kind of like what I did. And the third question is, what do you feel is your God-given purpose in this life? You know, and if you struggle answering that, I encourage you guys to think about your greatest strengths. What comes insanely easy for you or natural for you that when other people struggle with it, you're like, what? Why? Why would you struggle with that? That's a strength of yours, right? That would be a strength of yours. So what are some of your greatest strengths? And then kind of pair that with or combine it with a purpose in life. Does that make sense, guys? So what do you feel is your God-given purpose? Okay, so once you answer those three questions, take some time, really unpack those layers. Then I want you to look at it and go, okay, this is what I want in life, right? And your answer probably shouldn't have had anything to do with Plexus. This is what I want in life. But, and here's the side question, but how can Plexus help me attain these things? See, we're using Plexus as a gift to enhance our wants and values and purposes. How can Plexus help me attain and reach these wants in my life? Okay, then you look at your values. How can Plexus support these values? How can Plexus support these values? Then you look at your purpose. How can Plexus help me achieve most effectively my purpose in life? Do you see how I'm taking these fundamental things inside your life and applying Plexus within them? When you are able to do this, guys, Plexus does not become a superficial thing in your life. It becomes a fire belly, heart pounding, give it to me thing. I mean, it is like you want it and nothing's going to stand in your way. Because guys, if you are constantly needing somebody else to motivate you, if you are constantly needing these calls to motivate you, needing Brooke to motivate you, needing some sort of chat thread or contest or iPad to motivate you, if that's you, if you're kind of feeling wishy-washy, then you need to go back to these questions. External motivation, all of those things that I just listed, they are fleeting, my friends. They are fleeting. But internal motivation is where you are able to own your desires, to own your business, to own your action, and to own your life. It is no joke when I say you can design the life that you want. It is no joke. But you've got to be able to own it. And how do you do that? You've got to have that fire in your belly, that internal motivation to reach that. Does that make sense, guys? Does that make sense? Yeah, right? I mean, I'll never forget when I started Plexus and I saw where it could take me and how it could give me the things that I wanted in my life. Not just a $10,000 paycheck, not just a trip to Hawaii, but man, it could allow me to have more children. Whoa. It could allow me to put my daughters in dance. Wow. It could allow me to buy a ranch with horses, which has been a dream of mine that I just was able to fulfill last year, right? It could allow me to have peace of mind when I sleep at night and not worry about paying the bills or groceries or whatever that was keeping me up at night. It could allow me to have a place where I could bring my whole entire family that at the time when I started Plexus was ripping apart. I had family stuff going on where my whole immediate family just felt disconnected. So I strived so deeply to have something that could bring us together, which is why I wanted a large ranch. So if Plexus could help me do that for my family, y'all, that is the stuff that will motivate you to work your tail off. And if you run into an obstacle, because you will, you will figure out a way around it, over it, underneath it, beside it. You will get creative and you will not let excuses, because guys, let's get real. I mean, let's take iPad, for example, the iPad incentive. It's awesome. I want one. I'm going for it. You guys should be too. But when the tough gets tough and you're like, dang, it's not going to happen. I have reached everybody. I feel like I'm starting to annoy people. I just don't know how I'm going to do this. So you give up and you're like, okay, it's just an iPad. But would you give up on your desires and your values and your purposes in life? No, you wouldn't. You'd figure out a way around it. And then guess what happens? The iPad happens. I always tell my team, stop worrying about the how. Forget about the how. Do not worry about the how. What you need to be focused on is the why. Because the why is going to figure out the how. And you're going to be able to retrospectively look back and go, man, I couldn't see it at the time, but all the puzzle pieces were just aligning and it just happened. And I can see it now retrospectively how it happened, but getting there, you probably wouldn't have been able to see it. But you remembered the why and you persevered and you kept on. Now, don't get confused in me saying don't worry about the how by not planning, right? I believe you should plan in your business. You should know what your business looks like. You should know your numbers and what you need and your goals. That's all absolute truths. But when you get so in your head about, I just don't know how it's going to happen, right? We've all been there. I've been there. That's when you're forgetting about the why. Does this all make sense? Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to tell you guys probably my best tip ever. So you're getting a little secret. Not really. I tell everybody this, but it's a good one, right? It's a really, really good one. It's my favorite thing. So I want you to have your pens out. Oh, actually, let me find it real quick. I need my notes over here because it's stuff I want you guys to say exactly as I say it. Oh, where is it? Oh, here it is. Okay. So it's 3 affirmations. Remember how I was saying earlier, if your mindset feels stuck, if you're constantly saying, I don't have any business builders, I can't find any business builders, nobody wants to join me, I'm stuck in my business, guess what's going to happen? You're going to be stuck in your business, you can't find business builders, no one's going to want to join you, right? Remember me saying that? So if this is you, right, even if it's not you, right, maybe you're in full-blown momentum, go you, keep on, right? But here's one way to maintain that. But I want you guys to say these 3 things. Okay, write it down. I attract business builders to my team every day. I attract business builders to my team every day. My team is full of business builders. My team is full of business builders. And number 3, my team is booming. My team is booming. So I attract business builders to my team every day. My team is full of business builders and my team is booming. Guys, every time I have ever been stuck, I have had those 3 things as my phone background. I put it on little postcards and stuck it on my car dash. I wrote it in red lipstick on my bathroom mirror. In my old house, I used to have a dry erase board and I wrote it really big so every day I'd see it right there. Guys, I read it multiple times every day for about 30 days. And guess what happened? Take a wild guess, right? Those things happened, right? Those things happened, right? It's pretty amazing, right? I'll show you guys what my phone looks like. And this is, I mean, I'm Diamond Senior Ruby, husband's Diamond, been in it for 5 years. Even I'm doing this. My phone background, I don't know if it's backwards for you guys, but that right there is positive affirmations that I see every single day. Every single day, right? I attract leaders. My teams have hundreds of silvers. All 3 accounts are increasing. Diamond, diamond, emerald by July 31st. I am an excellent influencer. I see that every day, right? Start with positive affirmations. They have a chemical effect on your body. Write this down. What to say when you talk to yourself. It's a book. What to Say When You Talk to Yourself by Dr. Shad Helmstetter. I swear by it. It was probably the most influential book for myself and my team. We did a book study on that, and 6 months later, I went from emerald points to double diamond fast start gold in 6 months. Pretty crazy, right? That's wild. I did a book study with my team on that, and we all got our mindset in check. So affirmations are super important, right? The last question, and I do these trainings, and I ask you guys questions because I don't want you just to sit here for 30 minutes or an hour and then forget about it. I want you guys to really kind of marinate on some of the stuff I'm saying. So the next question I want you guys to answer for yourself, or share with your upline, or share with Brooke, or share with your accountability group if you guys do that. But I want you to be brutally honest, like brutally honest, right? Find that authenticity in this answer, guys. Why do you need external motivation to work your business right now? Maybe you don't, all right? Maybe a few of you don't, but I would argue most of you do, okay? Why do you need external motivation to work your business right now? And I want you to really unpack that. Why is that? And then tie it back to the wants, values, and purposes we talked about, right? And the last thing I'm going to say before we wrap it up here is I want to paint a picture, and it's going to be a completely fake scenario, okay? Completely fake scenario. But imagine you open your back office, okay, and you see your points at the end of the month. Does everybody know what I'm talking about? Yeah? Okay, just making sure. I don't know exactly what group I'm talking to here, but and you see your points, and you see your team, right? And in this completely fake, made-up world, Plexus announced that nobody else can enroll ever. They're done growing. Plexus is done growing. But you get to keep the team that you have forever, right? Would you be satisfied? Would you be satisfied with that? Right? I see some heads saying nope, right? Nope. So why are you not working so hard every single day to fulfill your dreams, to fulfill your mission, to build that team, to reach those different lives? Why are you wasting it? Why are you wasting days? Why are you floating? Why are you just existing within your business? Right? Imagine if what you had, that's it. Why wouldn't you be satisfied? What did you miss out on? What would you feel like you didn't get to achieve or help or create? So why isn't that motivation enough for you to run and jump over those hurdles and get where you want to be? Because the time's passing anyway, right? The time is passing anyway. So why are you not doing the work that you should do to get where you want to be? I hope this was really helpful for you guys. I hope that you guys can just go, whew, okay, I'm going to answer these questions. I'm going to think on this information, because you shouldn't need me, and you shouldn't need Brooke, and you shouldn't need your upline. This should be a you thing, a you and your family thing. And that's what I strive to help people realize and find, because when they are able to fully capture that within their hearts, those individuals fly in Plexus. All right. I love you guys, and I just met you. How fun is that, right? All right. I hope to see you guys at convention, and I hope this was helpful. Have a great, great evening.